I'm Tad Flaky, and this is Pointless Global News. On today's show, we'll tell you about the different ways other animal species poop. Because we all need to know, right? And then we'll go to Germany, where a brand new firehouse burned to the ground. I'll tell you the awesomely stupid reason why. Next, a cop in the state of Georgia calls for backup, just so he can whine about his botched order at the local Burger King. Finally, I'll tell you about the young man in northern Greece who breaks into the backyards of people in the middle of the night to smell their shoes. So let's dive into this pointless mess, shall we? As the famous children's books state, everyone poops, from the pauper to the king, from the earthworm to the soaring eagle. We all must answer when nature calls. Well, not everyone takes care of their business the same way, however. In fact, many animals defecate in ways that you can only call weird. They may do it for protection, intimidation, or simply because they don't give a shit. Here are 5 animals with unusual ways to drop a deuce. That said, you can't help but be a little bit impressed by some of these fecal feats. Poop comes in all shapes and sizes, from gnarled turds to long strings and tiny pebbles. The shape of wombat droppings, however, is entirely unique. For the longest time, biologists had no idea how wombats shaped their feces into cubes. It took until 2018 for them to figure out that it's due to their slow metabolism, high fiber diet, and strong muscly ridges running through their intestines. By the time their food exits, it's been compacted into a hard, dry cube. And there's a reason for the cube-shaped poop, too. Wombats use their crap to mark their territory, and cubical poop helps them deposit a large pile in a high-up place to show who's the boss of the turf without the nuggets rolling off. Next up on this poop countdown, sloths. Sloths are famously slow creatures, so it makes sense their metabolism is extremely sluggish as well. In fact, your average sloth poops only about once a week. But when they finally do take a dump, it's a massive one. A sloth loses anywhere from between 30% and 50% of its body weight whenever it poops. That's the equivalent of your average person squeezing out roughly an 80 to 90 pound turd. Nice thought, right? Let that bounce around your cranium for a while. Next up are hippos. Hippos are big creatures, and they like to take big dumps. They don't just let their feces drop to the ground or water, though. No. When a hippo senses it's time to go, it begins to furiously whip its tail back and forth. Hippo's muck spreads their poop, their shit, whatever you want to call it. It's spread to mark their territory, much like other animals. And it works. We sure wouldn't want to go anywhere near them after they release their crapnado. Pandas are on the list. Yeah, pandas. Remember how sloths are so slow and they poop rarely? Well, pandas are just the opposite. They simply can't stop pooping. The average adult panda consumes up to 84 pounds of food every day, and most of it is bamboo. However, despite bamboo being all they eat, panda guts really aren't designed to digest it. So the stuff simply runs through the black and white bears. They're basically pooping all day, every day, even when they sleep. That's why zoos with pandas must have a staff on hand 24/7 to clean their enclosures. As a silver lining, panda poop doesn't stink since it's mostly undigested bamboo fibers. That's a relief. Finally, and I'm sure you're happy I'm wrapping this up, turkey vultures. There's no way to make this sound sanitary, so we'll just say it. Turkey vultures shit all over their legs and feet. They do it all the time. For most animals, that would be an incredible sanitary risk. But for vultures, however, it's the complete opposite. Turkey vultures dine almost entirely on long dead carrion. Rotting meat isn't exactly healthy, but the vultures' stomachs are so acidic that they can digest it just fine. That acidity carries over to their poo. The stuff is so caustic that the vultures can sterilize their feet after wading into an animal carcass by crapping all over themselves. Additionally, the layer of poop helps the birds keep their feet cool on hot days. Efficient, if utterly nauseating. Our next pointless story is from Germany, where and I hope I say this right, I probably won't, the Stadtellendorf Fire Department moved to their new fire station earlier this year. The multi-million-dollar building is a state-of-the-art facility with everything firefighting personnel could hope to need. That is, in past tense. It was a state-of-the-art facility. The whole place recently burned down because it had no fire alarms. Due to some loopholes in the local building code, the fire station wasn't legally required to have fire alarms, so presumably to save a few pennies, nobody bothered to install them. Well, that didn't work out so well, as the firefighters found themselves trying to extinguish their own headquarters. Unfortunately, they were ultimately unsuccessful, and the inferno gutted the building. I'm sure their insurance covered it all, right? Oh, yeah, sure they did. Our next story is from the state of Georgia, where they show us another example of boneheaded public service gone bad, and it's all because of a whopper. Recently released body cam footage has landed Cobb County Sheriff Craig Owens in hot water. The video shows Owen calling his deputies to a Burger King restaurant. It's not because of a robbery happening or anything bad like that. No, Owen simply wants his deputies to march to the restaurant and get the owner's information from the employees so he can complain about the wrong order he received. Owen's Burger King incident happened all the way back in March of last year. However, it took until October 11th of this year, as in just a week or so ago, before the body cam footage of the incident was sent to Channel 2 Action News. In the video, the deputies speed through Cobb County, seemingly on an urgent dispatch. You can't make this stuff up. They're actually summoning a parade of squad cars at high speed. Their lights and sirens are on. And they speed through some red lights as well, as law enforcement officials, of course, are always on the alert to do. The deputies arrive at the Burger King restaurant in Mableton, Georgia. The video shows them exiting their vehicle and approaching a truck in the parking lot with Owen sitting with a passenger. Well, that's the incident. Nobody got physically hurt, and it was seemingly a brief affair, but it has landed Owens in some trouble. You see, the Cobb County Sheriff's position is open for re-election this year. Owens' main challenger, David Cavender, argued Owens behaved improperly. He went on to say, "I think it's an abuse of power, deeming the incident a form of intimidation and a waste of resources. It's also pointless," which is why we're talking about it on this podcast. Finally, a judge in northern Greece on Thursday imposed a suspended 1-month prison sentence on a man convicted of disturbing his neighbors by repeatedly sneaking into their properties to smell their shoes. The 28-year-old Greek man told the court that he was unable to explain his behavior, which he said has caused him a great deal of embarrassment. He stressed that he had no intention of breaking the law or harming anybody, and neighbors testified that he never displayed any sign of aggression during his nocturnal visits. The man was arrested before dawn on October 8th in the small town of Sindos. Police had been called after a neighbor found the defendant in his front yard, sniffing his family's shoes, which had been left outdoors to air. The court heard that there had been at least 3 similar incidents in the past 6 months, despite neighbors having asked the defendant's family to get him to stop. The man was ordered to attend therapy sessions, thankfully. No jail time, I guess, happening with him. And this story kind of reminded me of my childhood friend Teddy from across the alley. Teddy loved to smell bicycle seats. That's a story for another time, though. As we're out of time, that's a wrap for another Pointless Global News. Be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you'll never miss another award-winning episode. I'm Tad Flaky. Stay pointless, my friend.